Welcome to another episode of Simple Thoughts. Today I'm going to be talking about Disney's television department, particularly the Disney XD channel. I just feel like it's sort of having a big problem right now because recently, like over the summer, they decided to add like this new programming block called Disney XP, and it's supposed to be like this thing based around gaming culture and stuff like that. And I feel like it's just clear-cut pandering, you know? Since, you know, gaming's become more and more prevalent in, like, the YouTube community and online in general, like, I feel like their thing is like, well, we need to pander. And what's popular today? Gaming. So let's throw in a bunch of gaming shows. And I just feel like they're just kind of hurting themselves. Like, they got to the point, literally, where they decided, let's give IGN a show. And I'm just thinking, why? What purpose does that serve? Why does IGN need a TV show? Like, what is wrong with them just having their little online thing? What is the purpose of this? It's sort of on the lines of, say, The Annoying Orange. When it was on YouTube, everybody sort of liked it and whatnot, but then they decided, let's give it a TV show. And it's like, why does it need a TV show? What was wrong with it being on TV? I mean, on the internet? What reason do we have for IGN to get a TV show? So, and I just feel like it's kind of a bad sign for Disney in terms of Disney XD, because it's like, you guys are literally hurting yourselves by promoting these shows that literally don't have a purpose on television. I mean, yeah, the big thing about television or cable in general is lots of people don't need it. You know, a lot of people go to Netflix and Hulu and whatnot to watch their favorite shows because, well, there's no reason to have to wait every week for a new episode or anything. And that's sort of why Disney XD is kind of hurting, is where they're hurting more or less. Like, most recently over the summer, they premiered that dumbass show, Billy Dilly's Subterranean Summer. And that dumbass show, I reviewed it. It sucked. But the thing about it is they rushed it. They were completely fast in making sure they got all the episodes for the first season out, and because of that, it went under the radar. A lot of people didn't even know it was coming out. A lot of people weren't even really aware of it. So a lot of people didn't flock to it. Sadly, it couldn't really gain a base. And I mean, granted, I'm kind of happy about that, but still, that's kind of unfair because people could have liked it, and now they don't really have a chance. Like, they literally premiered the whole first season in like 2 or 3 weeks, and they haven't put a rerun out of it at all. Like after it premiered, it was gone. There was not one rerun has been put up for it, and that's kind of fucked up. And what's also really fucked up is the show Pen Zero Part-Time Hero. They screwed that show over big time by barely promoting it, not putting on reruns, and the new season just wrapped up. In fact, the whole series just wrapped up over the summer, and the way they did it was just like Billy Dilly, where they just put all the episodes out within a 3-week time span. And I'm just like, why the hell would you do that? Like, they didn't really properly promote it. A lot of people didn't even know it was wrapping up or even knew it existed. And that's pretty fucking unfair, honestly, because it's like, this was a really good show. This is actually, like, this honestly, in my opinion, was Disney's best. Like, definitely of their top 5 best shows they had on Disney XD. And then they just decided to just kind of screw it over, putting it up so it rushes out all the episodes. It barely has any promotion. And now that the series is wrapped up, I have not seen one rerun of the show since it finished. And it's messed up, honestly. It's very messed up. And it just goes back to Disney just sucking at their television department in terms of their animation. They just screw over a lot of good shows. Because I feel like a lot of networks, but like definitely Disney, of course, has this problem of thinking, well, it needs to be the next SpongeBob. And it's like, you just can't do that. SpongeBob didn't even become an overnight success right away. It took time, and it took a lot of time before it really took off. So, yeah, especially, and it took a lot of promotion as well. Like back in the 2000s and early and late 90s and whatnot, they advertised the shit out of these shows. Let it be known these shows exist. Now, people barely know these shows exist because they barely advertise that they're even a thing. And that's where I think Disney is really hurting the most, is that they suck at their own advertising. They're basically trying to kill themselves. And it's kind of dumb, you know? It's like, it seems like they sort of rely on internet reviewers and critics to sort of bring attention to a lot of these shows. Like, if you try to look up a lot of reviews for Pen Zero, a lot of critics' reviews, you don't really find that many, because a lot of people didn't even know it existed. I'm like one of the I'm of a small minority that actually know about the show and review it. I managed to review all the episodes on my Tumblr, if you want to check that out. But it's just really stupid, you know? Like it's just, you guys need to advertise these shows better, man. Like, you could be putting ads on YouTube saying, hey, here's this new show, check it out. You could be putting like posters up, you could be doing all this and that. Like, but you don't, and it sucks too. Like, the creator himself, he's on Tumblr, he's a really great guy, and I feel so sorry for him, because it's like, they screwed you over. Like, he wanted to do like way more seasons of Pen Zero, but sadly, he couldn't. They shut down the show. Thankfully, they told him, hey, you're getting one more season left, and after that, you're done. So, you know, wrap it up. And thankfully, he did get to wrap it up, but Disney screwed him over. And honestly, it feels like Alex Hirsch, like with Gravity Falls. I think Alex Hirsch, he realized, yeah, Disney's gonna screw me over here, so I better just make this like a 2-season show. He probably wanted to do more. I'm willing to bet he wanted to do more, but he sadly couldn't. Because he knew Disney's just gonna cancel the show or put some stupid dumbass input into it and tell me I have to do this, I have to do that, and it would end up ruining the show. So I think he was like, I'm gonna be smart. I'm gonna get the hell out of here while I can. It's great that I got to make this show and people love it and all that, but I just can't trust Disney that well with my baby. So I gotta leave. I gotta end this show right here, right now. So that way it's like, if they do bring it back and I'm not part of it, it's like, this is the definitive. There is no other. So nobody can screw this property over. Or if they do screw it up, it's like, hey, you still got the original 2 seasons to look back on. But so that's my thing. It honestly sucks, to be real, because like, these are really, like, Disney, they can put really good effort in. DuckTales is really good, and they've been promoting the living shit out of this show. Ever since like 2015, they've been constantly doing a bunch of ads and promotions and whatnot to let it be known, yes, this is happening. Yes, this is happening. But for other shows, they get neglected something serious, and they honestly kind of shoot themselves in the foot. Like, over the summer as well, they had Star vs. the Forces of Evil. They did the season 3 premiere of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and they just screwed it up by doing this 4 episode like premiere that was sort of a combined TV movie. It was more or less just the first 4 episodes of the season combined into a TV movie, and that was cool and all. Ultimately, it's a little disjointed, a little bit unfocused. But they screwed up, because it's like, okay, you premiere this thing in like July, and the official season premiere isn't until like November. I'm like, why the hell would you do that? That is just bad. I mean, really bad, to just decide we're gonna premiere this in the summer, or premiere the first 4 episodes in the summer, and then come back in the fall. I'm like, why not wait until the fall? Like, I just didn't get it. I guess their thing is like, well, we got people really loving Star vs. the Force of Evil, because it seems like they are trying to, recapture that thing with Gravity Falls, but like I said in my is Star vs. the Force of Evil overrated video, I basically said it's like, I don't believe it's going to get up to Gravity Falls level. It's a good show, it is, but it's just not getting up to that level. And that's what I feel like Disney needs to understand, is that you just got to let the shows live, you know? You got to give them the proper promotion. You got to do everything right by them. And a thing you should be taking advantage of is streaming services, which, of course, they're sort of trying doing that with their Netflix by dropping a lot of their movies out of Netflix by 2019 and creating their own streaming service. Granted, how that works, I don't know, because it's like, you're sort of because the problem here is you're going to be spreading people thin. Like, you're going to be spreading a lot of people's wallets thin, trying to keep up with all these subscription services. Because, like, okay, I pay for Netflix, which gives me access to all these different movie companies. But then Disney breaks off and takes all their movies. Now it's like, well, shit, I want to see a bunch of Disney's movies, but now I got to pay for this subscription to Disney, for this Disney service. And they also were talking about putting original content on there, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I feel like your best bet would just be Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, you know? Just put your stuff on those platforms. They're there. So, I mean, granted, it does create good competition. There's that, but the thing is, you're not creating proper competition. It's like the car dealerships thing. You don't really need to have a Nissan dealership and a Honda dealership right next to it and all this and that, when we could literally just have one sort of superstore that sells all different brands of cars, which would probably make the cars even cheaper. But so doing it like this, you're kind of hurting it. What we could do is more amalgamation subscription services like Netflix and Hulu, where it's like, okay, we have all these different shows from all these different networks, and I feel like that would be better versus just deciding to break off and make your own based on your movies and TV shows. Because now the big problem is you're spreading people way thinner, and that's just sort of the sad thing about it. And I feel like Disney ultimately is. I feel like Disney XD more or less is like on a thread, because like I said, with this Disney XP thing, they're trying to sort of have their own like Adult Swim or Nick at Night, and it's just not going to work, especially with the way they do it. Their advertising, literally, they go like, this is rated GA for general audience, trying to make it seem like we're edgier than our other content. And I'm like, this is nothing edgier. This is the same old bullshit I've seen before. What the fuck are you doing here? Like, honestly, this is why cable networks need to stop trying to copy internet culture. It's like, you just can't do it, man. Like, you really just can't do it. Your TV, you kind of got to stay that way. You can get on the internet and put your content out there like that, but you're just not, you shouldn't be trying to copy everything you've seen on the internet. At that point, there's no reason for us to pay attention to you, because it's like, you're just a copy of the original, and I can just watch the original. Like, they got this show Parker Plays, where it's some Let's Player, and I'm like, why the hell does he need a TV show? It's like if you decided to give Markiplier a TV show, or PewDiePie a straight up TV show on a TV network. I'm like, no, keep them on the internet. That's where they need to stay, on the internet. Sure, they could sort of break out and try to get into acting and whatnot in TV shows, but they don't need to be given their own shows based around the stuff they've already been doing on the internet. Like, that's honestly kind of moot and pointless, because it's like, they could just stay on the internet. There's no reason to try to transfer it. So, yeah. I feel like that's one of the things that's ultimately hurting Disney XD. Because, like, with DuckTales, that just premiered, and it literally doesn't have new episodes until a month from now. Literally, they're not going to have a new episode until September 23rd. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why are you doing it like that? It's great you released the first episode online for free, but why the fuck? I mean, why the fuck would you do that? Premiere a TV show, and then premiere the first episode of a TV show, and then literally take a whole month before you start premiering more episodes. I'm just thinking, that's stupid. That's really, really stupid. Like, your best bet would have been premiere the TV show, and then next week is the new episode, and so on and so forth. Or you could start doing more shit like Netflix, where it's like, okay, we release a whole season in one day, and we take a good while to build up more episodes, and then release another season. Like, do that, you know? But And that's why it's like, you guys should just be embracing streaming, you know, embracing Netflix, Hulu, and whatnot. Put a lot more of your content there. It'd be great if Gravity Falls was on Netflix and Hulu, and if all these other shows were there too. So, but you guys don't do that, so a lot of people end up missing out on your shows. That's why Disney XD, it's a struggle. It's honestly a major struggle to try to get ratings. And it sucks too, because like, you have good shows, but you don't treat them well. I just feel like Disney really needs to prioritize themselves a lot better. Like, that's just one of the major problems I feel they have, is that they don't prioritize their own TV department as well, particularly their animation. Because, like I said, it's dumb that they have to have this Disney XP shit where it's literally internet stuff you've seen on the internet 1,000 times over and clearly are not trying to look at right now. When you're starting to watch TV and cable, it's like, yeah, I'm watching this to watch stuff on TV and cable. I don't want to watch stuff that I've seen literally on the internet just 5 minutes ago. So that's sort of the big problem with this. Like, I just really want Disney to like prioritize themselves, advertise their shows better, treat their shows better, because they kind of screwed over Yonder. The show was originally supposed to have a bit more of a series of adventures, or more or less an overarching narrative, but Craig McCracken couldn't do that because their thing is like, no, we don't want shows that have a narrative because that makes it difficult to just jump right into the show. And I'm like, you just can't do that. In this day and age, you just can't get by on just simple episodes that don't connect anymore. Some shows can do it because that's what they sell themselves as, but other shows kind of do need a narrative, or want to have a narrative. And the way to work around that is literally just put your stuff on streaming networks. That's why Castlevania is going to do really good. That's why Voltron Legendary Defenders is doing really good, because it's like, yes, I can watch all the episodes right then and there. I don't have to wait until next week to see a new episode. I don't have to wait anymore. We're out of that those old days where it's just a struggle to try to keep up with TV shows, and if you try to come in midway through, it's like, shit, I now have to hope that the episode that I need to see come on at some point, and so I can watch them. I just wish they would embrace streaming culture a lot better. I'm glad that they're deciding, we're going to create our own streaming service. That's kind of good, but it's kind of bad at the same time, because now you're spreading people's wallets a bit more thinner. So, yeah, my thing is just put more original content on Netflix. That could be way more helpful than just creating your own streaming service and spreading people's wallets. I just feel like that's what Disney needs to do, definitely. It's mainly for their animation department. They need to treat their shows better. They need to embrace more overarching narratives, because, say for Star vs. Force the Evil, they try to have a narrative, but a lot of the time they get screwed over because they have to have a lot of filler episodes that don't connect to anything. And that sucks too, because it's like, I want this show to be great, but I just can't, because in my mind I'm like, this is a very useless episode. I learned nothing from it, and it wasn't even entertaining. It wasn't even the least bit that entertaining. That just shouldn't be the case, honestly. But I don't know. Hope maybe Disney will get it through their heads. Maybe they'll eventually stop embracing internet culture like this. It's not gonna happen. I'm pretty sure this Disney XP thing is not gonna last. It's gonna die off pretty fast, and people aren't even gonna remember it. They have this show Parker Plays. They even have this show where literally it's drone racing. And I'm like, why the hell do we need why the hell does this need a show on here? What purpose does this serve? I looked at one of the episodes and I'm like, this is so goddamn boring. I'm just watching toys fly around. And they had this one guy, they tried to make it seem like, oh, he's supposed to be like that inspirational story. And I'm just like, because the way he explained it is that, well, my wife works this job, and she makes a lot of the money for us, and it helps finance my drone racing career. I'm like, homie, that's a bit sad. That's kind of fucked up that she has to do all the hard work while you get to play around with your little thrones and shit. I'm like, that's not good. I don't know how much it pays, I'll admit that. So maybe it is lucrative, maybe it's not. I don't know. But it just, the way they framed it, it seemed sad. That's just my thing on it, and I don't think that's something you want to be selling to kids. It's like stories like that. And also that's why I say it's a bit bad that they're trying to sell Let's Players on television like that, because that's not a good story either for kids. That's not really good to inspire kids neither. I mean, sure, we have like gaming leagues and whatnot. You got Evo and stuff like that. But I don't know if you could really make that a long-lasting career, you know? I feel like that is definitely a major temporary career that you can't have for too long. Especially since it's like, how long can you keep that up? You know, eventually your skills wane and you gotta go do something else. And just, well, it's just not as big as people want it to be, sadly. So, I don't know. I just want Disney to get it together. I want them to really reprioritize themselves and understand you need to advertise your shows. You need to let people know this exists. This is part of our repertoire. We have this show. Watch it. It is good. I hate it when they let good shows die. I really hate it when they do that just because they just didn't believe it could be as good as, or be as popular as, say, Teen Titans Go or SpongeBob. It's like, shows don't always become overnight hits. A lot of the time they do need to find their footing. Sometimes that sometimes that really does, that mainly comes from having a really good, strong first episode. Some shows don't have that, but as they go along, they start getting their footing. So I just feel like that's what Disney just needs to understand, is that you're not always going to have a hit right there on the first episode. That's a rarity, more or less. It's not the norm. And I just want them to understand that and treat their shows a lot better. I want them to treat themselves a lot better. But I don't know. Maybe they'll get it together. Maybe they won't. I'm just hoping, and I mean hoping, for the best. If you like this video, like, subscribe, and also leave a comment. Also, help me out on Patreon. Your contributions can help this channel grow a lot, and I would very much appreciate your patronage. And always remember, it's just a thought.